Welcome to the new tips and tricks for VMware Cloud on AWS. Today, we're going to be talking about best practices for connecting to VMware Cloud on AWS. So my name is Christophe Lombard. I'm a Senior Cloud Customer Success Architect at VMware. And today I'm with my colleague, Pablo, who's going to be introducing himself just after.
Yeah, my name is Pablo Cruces. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us, having us today. I'm a Staff Cloud Customer Success Architect working with Christophe for EMEA for customers and covering VMC on VMware Cloud and AWS mainly things for all of you.
So let's start our conversation today by showing you very quickly the agenda for today is going to be a discussion about the tips and tricks on VMC on AWS. We're going to be spending a few minutes to answer some of your questions you may have. And we're going to be finishing by the additional resources that could be very important for you to know to continue the conversation. So this is interesting sessions today because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sharing with you some of the questions we heard from our customers. And I think Pablo and I are mainly agreed that this is the kind of question we heard mainly from our customers on a day-to-day basis. So one of the first one is what are the connectivity options to attach my on-premises to the VMC on AWS. So very open question. There are a lot of answers from that one. We're going to be trying to give a short answer to that one. Going a little bit more in depth. So we're going to be talking about what is Direct Connect, how I can set it up to connect my SDDC to VMC and to AWS, specifically when it comes to have a private connectivity, high bandwidth, less jitter, less latency. Some of the question we heard as well is, okay, Direct Connect is a bit too expensive. So what if I want to leverage layer 3 VPN to connect to VMC? And what are my options with VPN? And next one would be, I have a native VPC with native services, and I want to leverage those services for my ZC. How is it possible to do that? What are the pitfalls? What are the best practices? And to finish, we're going to be talking about, okay, attaching multiple SDDC together. What is the capability we have with VMC on AWS, as well as attaching those SDDC together with on-premises and with native VPCs. So what are the supported architecture and as well as the pitfalls? So let's start by just reviewing the possibilities we have to connect on-premises data center to AWS cloud, and especially VMC on AWS. So there are mainly three options. The first one would be VPN, which is the fastest one, probably as well the cheapest one. So you have two options, layer 3 VPN or layer 2 VPN. Layer 2 VPN is very simple. Probably not the best when it comes to have multiple networks to connect to the SDDC, but it's probably the fastest one. You just need a client VPN and just for instance the edge NSX edge, and you can just establish this layer 2 VPN to the edge in the SDDC. So basically the VPN endpoints on VMC are the edge tier 0. So all of the sessions, all of the VPN sessions are going to be landing on this endpoint. You can also leverage layer 3 VPN. This could be two kinds, could be route-based VPN or policy-based VPN. Obviously, route-based VPN is the most common one because this is leveraging dynamic routing by leveraging BGP. So we support only BGP at the moment. The BGP session allow for a dynamic exchange of routes between both sides. And we'll see how to create that in a moment. The policy-based is just when you have you want to have more control, let's say, on each of the subnets that you want to interconnect through the VPN, but it's also something you may avoid if you have a lot of subnets, because it's going to be adding a lot of overhead in terms of configuration. The third one is AWS Direct Connect. This is the AWS construct. It's giving a direct connectivity option to the AWS backbone through a Direct Connect location. It gives the customer the ability to get a consistent performance, something which is dedicated, so quite secured. And again, it is leveraging BGP to interconnect the networks. The only difference is that the BGP session ends at the VGW, so the virtual private gateway of AWS. And but it's the same BGP protocol to exchange the routes. So what exactly is Direct Connect? Direct Connect, you have multiple options. Whenever the customer wants to have connectivity, it just asks AWS to have this Direct Connect physical connectivity option. And inside this physical connectivity, it can order multiple private or public virtual interface. So a VIF is a virtual interface. At the end of the day, it's just a VLAN and a BGP session. So customer can order a private VIF, and the private VIF is just used to privately connect the SDDC to the on-premises data center to the SDDC in the cloud. There is also the options to have a public VIF. Public VIF is a little bit a way to give access to the customers to all the AWS public services that are using public IPs. Most of them are available in the public area of AWS. And what we can say is that on the public VIF is advertised, for instance, the edge public IPs that will allow the customer as well to establish a VPN sessions through this Direct Connect public VIF. So there are multiple options there. The most one we see with customer leveraging is the private VIF, because that is just giving access to the SDDC in a very common and secure manner. There is also the transit VIF. The transit VIF is something a little bit different. It's just because it's landing on another construct in AWS, which is a Direct Connect gateway. And the Direct Connect gateway is a way also to interconnect multiple objects, especially the transit gateway. So we can see on this schema, we have this TGW, which is the transit gateway, a native object, again, native AWS construct that is used to interconnect multiple VPC. And basically the transit VIF will give access to these VPCs from the on-premises. So the latest one that we can mention there is that there is this SDDC to connected VPC interconnectivity. So this is also one of the things that the SDDC is offering, is to have this direct access to native services over this connected VPC through this elastic network interface. So this is this high-speed connectivity to allow the traditional workloads running on the SDDC to access the native services very seamlessly. So if you look at Direct Connect, so Direct Connect is landing on an AWS account, and this AWS account ID is something you can discover in your CSP console. This is the ID of the shadow VPC, because whenever the SDDC is deployed, this is deployed in a VPC. So there is a shadow VPC which is deployed prior to the SDDC deployment. And basically, this information is needed when you want to establish your Direct Connect from the AWS console. And whenever this Direct Connect is established, so over the BGP session, over this private VIF, we are going to be advertising the multiple subnets that are in the SDC, including the management subnet, and each and every one of the compute segments in the SDC. And obviously, from the on-premises, the customer is free to announce any subnet, could be as well the default gateway and default route. If we look at very quickly at the Direct Connect interface, so we have, again, the account ID, we have this BGP local ASN. So there is this ASN the SDC is using, and that's going to be also used to establish this, this BGP session. You can have multiple private VIF to attach your SDDC. So it can be up to four private VIF. And we support any kind of configuration. We are a bit agnostic. It could be active-active, it could be active-passive. And on this interface as well, what we can see there is that we are also presenting all the BGP routes that are advertised from the SDC. So this is the first line in blue there. And there is a limit of 16 routes that can be advertised over this BGP session. This limit is a soft limit. You can always ask for extending that to 100. And what we are going to be soon releasing is the route summarization. We support that for route-based VPN only at the moment, but we're going to be supporting that for the Direct Connect in future version. Yeah, so I think this is something also a lot of customers were asking. We cannot do filtering and for Direct Connect as well, or Transit Connect, but it's also something we have on our roadmap. What we can see as well there is the learned BGP routes. So these are the subnets that are learned from the on-premises data center. And again, this is an AWS limitation. We limit the number of routes to 100. But most of our customers are doing route summarization, route filtering to address this limitation. So whenever this Direct Connect is established, when you first start your SDDC, there are two kinds of firewalls. There is the north-south firewalls, and the management gateway basically is not following anything. So as long as you have to Direct Connect, you need to enable access to the vCenter by creating this rule, this inbound rule. And we push to limit the source IP addresses to your on-premises management subnet. And the destination is the vCenter. And as long as you have this rule, it's going to be possible to access the vCenter over the Direct Connect. Obviously, it's a private IP over Direct Connect because it's a private VIF. So what you need to do is to change the DNS resolution in the interface in the setting tabs of the SDC to return the private IP address of the vCenter. And as long as you will have done that, you'll be okay to access the vCenter. I will hand it over to Pablo. He's going to be introducing you with the next options, the layer 2 and layer 3 IPsec VPN. I think it's mainly a layer 3 IPsec VPN. Pablo, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Christophe. So let's see right now how, if you have to do, or some tips, if you want to leverage L3 VPN to connect to your SDDC. So here, as you have in this example, we have our connectivity mainly through internet, which what we are doing is a route-based IPsec VPN. So remember that you can have maximum 16 VPNs connected to one SDDC, and you can have 1.25 Gbps per bandwidth per VPN. Okay, so what we can do is connect IPsec VPN over internet, or we can do it over Direct Connect. Okay, so with route-based VPN, the routes are dynamically updated across all tunnel interfaces by BGP only. So we cannot do that on purpose. Okay, not add routes or whatever. So all route-based VPN connections to an SDDC use the same single IP endpoint and BGP ASN. So any routes learned over one route-based VPN are advertised to all other VPNs. This is really important because we are playing with BGP and no BGP routes. So take that into consideration. So mainly route-based VPN is our recommended approach over policy-based, but this provides redundancy on the connectivity. Okay, so let's see some examples on some things that we need to check when we configure an IPsec VPN. So this is a screenshot when you are adding a new VPN. So the first thing is take into consideration that the local ASN must be different from our direct connect ESN. It's a typical and common mistake that use the same, and this will create a mesh. The routes will be announced everywhere, and the reason is because the local ASN is used by BGP in all configured route-based VPNs. So any changes affect to all VPNs. Other thing that we need to take into consideration is we need to set up our on-premises ASN. You can see that on the right corner. This is the BGP neighborhood ASN, and we should set up this also. If we need to improve the performance, something that we can do is on our IPsec profile, we choose GCM for better performance. We can use AES, but we can use AES with GCM, which is something we recommended to you. This is tested and proven, and most of customers are using that. So the next thing that you can do to improve that is use or enable the TCP MMS clamping. Okay, this will avoid fragmentation of the packets during the communication. Also, what you can do is create tags for your VPN to search faster all of them when you are configuring this. Remember, VMware usually tags for a lot of things, and for these things you can do also tags. Enable DPD to send regular proofs to on-premises is also a good and a best practice. So this will inform you that the VPN is up and running and this is staying alive.
Yeah, just to add, sorry, Pablo, I'll let you continue.
No worries, go ahead.
We know it's a conversation, you know, so just wanted to call out there that you see there this local IP addresses. So this is private IP. So this is the IP of the edge tier 0, but also there is the public IP. I cannot show it there, but you have the choice between both of them. So depending whether you want to create the VPN on the private or public IP, you have to change this IP, which is possible by clicking there. And obviously the remote public IP is the on-prem public IP of the gateway VPN endpoint. If it is behind a NAT device, then you need to add this remote private IP. So that was just something I wanted to add on this because we don't have any specific details there.
Yeah, that's right. Also, as you were talking about the IPs, you can use the 169.54.xx for our BGP on remote IP. That's something that you can use. And remember, it's used for the BTI interface, okay? And this is automatically plumbed through the firewall rules.
So let's talk about multiple layer 2 VPN, Pablo.
Yeah, so right now we have another example because we can use different type of connectivities, as you mentioned, and right now we can use in this example IPsec VPN, for example. So as you can see here, you can add multiple VPNs, up to 4 L3 VPNs, and this will connect from your T0 to your on-premises router. What is going to happen is it will throw through 2 different BTIs. For example, here we have 2, BTI1 and BTI2, and it's connected and flowing the traffic with BGP advertising your SDDC subnets. In this example, you can see here that we have the subnet for our compute gateway, which is where our workloads are working or running in, and our management gateway, where there is the ESXIs, NSX components, and everything regarding the management from VMware. And it will go through internet to our on-premises data center. Have to say that here we can support ECMP and also BGP metrics on-prem to manage connectivity. Other example here, as we are talking about that, Christoph, is combined, okay, or mix a policy-based and a route-based IPsec VPN. Yeah, exactly. We usually follow the rule that keep it simple, okay, and let's start to complex the design a bit more with every single request. But it's better to start easy and single and just go simple. So in this case, for example, we just added one more native AWS VPC in the left side, and we are connecting this through a policy-based VPN to our SDDC. And our SDDC is connected through a route-based IPsec VPN with BGP announcing all the subnets to our on-premises data center. So take into consideration that when we are using policy-based and route-based VPN, don't advertise the default route from on-prem. That's important, no, Christoph? We saw that many times. Yeah, sure. I wanted to show you that as well. Thanks, Pablo. Just to finish on the IPsec, because this one is something also which is a lot leveraged, because when we look at the cost of Direct Connect, some customers may not have, enough capacity to buy 2 private VPNs, because 1 private VPN is quite expensive. So just to to find a better way to do that in terms of budget, they want to have also this VPN as a backup. Maybe you can give us more insight on that one, Pablo. Yeah, exactly. Something that we usually recommend to customers is use a Direct Connect as a main connectivity for all the traffic and use VPN for backup or for redundancy. It's more or less simple. Right now we use an example which is simple. And for example, here we have the Direct Connect with all the communications from on-premises to our SDDC, but we can have also a VPN where we can configure our route-based IPsec VPN. If you can go next, I think we will show it, no? Or... Yeah, sure. I think just to finish on that one, I mean, if you have a VPN and a BGP session with Direct Connect, VPN will always be preferred over the Direct Connect. So don't advertise the same route on both one. The only way to avoid this the VPN to be prior. I mean, the first one, sorry, just click, there is an option to click on the console to make this IPsec VPN as a backup for Direct Connect. In that case, only the communication will only flow over Direct Connect, and the VPN would be the backup as soon as we have a disaster on the Direct Connect, I would say, or an interruption. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, because route-based VPNs are preferred over routes from Direct Connect, so we can have both connectivities, Direct Connect, and if it fails, we can have the VPN and the traffic flowing around. Let's talk about a little bit more complex situation, I would say, but something we are seeing more and more. So I don't want to too much overwhelm everyone on the call there, but just to make it simple, we have seen some customer being leveraging this private with direct connectivity to the SDDC, and they're already today leveraging some native services with multiple VPCs that are probably all interconnected through this TGW construct with native transit gateway from AWS. And since we did not have this transit gateway, I would say, access and way of managing it ourselves, the only way to interconnect the SDDC to this transit gateway used to be through a route-based VPN with BGP, which is fine because it's kind of leveraging dynamic routing. So meaning that all of the segments of the SDDC would be advertised over this BGP session, and the BGP session will learn all of the VPC subnets directly and announce them to the SDDC. But there is kind of a limitation with this architecture, because the route-based VPN obviously has not the best bandwidth and capabilities as a VPC attachment would have.
So, but we have seen a lot of customers leveraging that, especially when it comes to, as you can see, attach, let's say, a transit VPC and leveraging a security appliance running on the transit VPC. So this is probably something we are seeing when the customer is doing some kind of a data center exit, having the security, let's say, filtering and devices, leverage in a transit VPC running on AWS to be able to protect all of the workloads running on the SDDC as well as the workloads running on each of the VPCs they had.
Okay,
so meaning that
how is the traffic flowing from the compute gateway or our workloads to internet? How it's working?
That's a good point. So obviously, when you have this transit gateway, you need to add a specific route, and you need also to advertise this default route from this security, let's say VPC or transit VPC. This destination default route would be targeting the firewall running on this transit VPC. And then this would be reflected in the transit gateway there. That's the default route will have to go to the security VPC, and any other traffic, for instance, traffic to the SDDC subnets would go over this VPN session, and traffic to the other VPC would flow over the attachment 2 and 3, which are the VPC native attachments to be able to redirect the traffic. So this is pretty much how the workloads running on the SDDC would be flowing. The traffic. So going to the TGW, then going to the, let's say, private subnet of the transit VPC, and then to the public subnet where the security appliance stands, and having the security appliance, filtering all of the traffic and do the source NAT to be able to access the internet over this transit VPC. So this kind of, let's say, typical and standard architecture. Transit VPC is a AWS standard architecture and something that most of our customers want to leverage as well. And this is something we allow. And just to finish on that one, I just wanted to finish by introducing our Transit Connect. So this is the managed transit gateway, VMware managed transit gateway, just a way for the customers to get this VPC attachment from SDDC to interconnect the SDDC to a transit VPC or to any native VPC, as well as to interconnect multiple SDDC together with high-speed connectivity. This BGGW is a VMware managed, so it's included as a service, I would say. And this is a construct that can be also configured over the CSP console. So the same that the customer is going to be using to configure its networking and security option of the SDDC. And this is giving more flexibility and many more capabilities and more bandwidth for the customers to interconnect all of the workloads. And what we are seeing as well, and this is what I wanted to show on this diagram, is that we have customers that are leveraging both the VGGW and as well as the native transit gateway, native TGW from AWS. And they can continue to have this connectivity from on-premises to their VPC. And they can also interconnect their on-premises to their SDDC. And they can interconnect all the SDDCs together with the VPCs and the transit VPC. So it's best of both worlds, and this is probably a target model that most of our big customers are leveraging today.
So for example, if there is a customer that have a TGW and they can start to use also the VMware Transit Gateway, is something that they can use before the architecture, or they need to change that a lot?
Yeah, sure. So, and just to be clear, the VGGW is allowing connectivity from SDDC to VPC, but we have a specific model today with multiple routing domains inside this VGGW that prevents any connectivity between VPCs. We just don't want to be, in a situation where we cannot really manage what the connectivity issue can be between the VPCs because there is the misconfiguration in the VPCs. So the only way then to continue having this VPC to VPC is going to be to use the TGW at the moment. So it's just one of the things I wanted to call out as well. Yeah, and you can really have complex routing with this model, which is quite used at the moment. Thank you very much. So we value your feedback. Maybe we can have a few questions. Obviously, the slides are going to be shared. So
yeah, thank you. If you have any question, please speak up or send that on the chat, and we will try to answer that, or any feedback or something you want to share with us.
I can answer one of them, which it's a very general one, but let's say what are the pros and cons for using VPN over Direct Connect? So I already maybe pointed that Direct Connect is a private high bandwidth connectivity option. Really a way to interconnect your on-premises to the SDDC with the high-speed connectivity. Could be 1 gig, could be 10 gig, or 100 gig if you want. It's a dedicated connection, so obviously you are not sharing anything with anyone else. So it's a really a way to have a big bandwidth and to as well have limited latency. The VPN is more. So it's less costly, obviously, but also has some drawbacks, and especially if you go over the internet. But it works. Probably if you want to do a high level of migration, it's going to be a bit painful because it's going to be less performance in terms of bandwidth. So it's going to be taking time to migrate all of your workloads. But some of the customers are doing it anyway. It's also a good way.
Okay. Also, you are checking some questions that we are doing. So if you can vote, please, it would be good for us to have feedback from your side. And we have some question about where are the best basic orientation type for resources for VMC and AWS. And I think it will be better on VMware if you go to VMware Cloud on AWS. And here you have Christophe so quickly. Thank you for that. The additional
Sorry, I forgot the slides. We have a good slide for that.
Exactly.
So additional resources linked there. We have the Cloud Tech Zone. We are experts there, which are producing very, very nice and useful content. Cloud Customer Success Community. So there is a website where all of the community is posting questions, and we are on top of answering all of them. We are trying our best to do that. And you have the VMware Cloud on AWS homepage, but don't hesitate to reach out to each and every one of us, Pablo, Chris, and me. We are customer success architect. So we are dealing mainly with cloud solutions and mainly VMC on AWS. I see a question. Do you know what is the savings on-prem and AWS? So I don't think I understand well the question, but maybe you're looking for kind of a TCO comparison. So we have a team to do that. We are not too much engaged in TCO ROI calculation sometimes, but I mean, if you need more information on that, I will invite you to link with your sales team.
Yeah, the main thing on that is if you move to cloud, you will not need on VMware Cloud on AWS, and if you have vSphere on your on-premises environment, you will not need to refactor in everything, and your knowledge will be pretty much the same. So you will not need to spend time and money on learning and time and money on refactoring your applications to go to other clouds. So I think that's one of the top mantras for the TCO calculation when you do this type of comparison. It's not about just comparing about which is the host cost on premises and how much it costs on cloud. Okay, you need to see the overall picture to calculate that. I think that helps a bit.
I don't see any open questions, so maybe why don't we go over a small poll? We prepared one. So, shall I?
Yeah.
So
probably,
first one is what do you use or plan to leverage to interconnect your SDDC? So just to have your feedback because we are quite interested by which technology or which options you are most interested in. So we have the choice, Direct Connect, VPN, or can also do VPN over Direct Connect. So I guess, okay, I see it's both Direct Connect and VPN. There is no, I mean, the two options are quite famous.
The main ones, yeah.
The main ones. Do you plan to leverage VMware Transit Connect? So I know it has been a very quick introduction to it. Maybe you have heard about Transit Connect. It's a VMware managed transit gateway. So this is adding a little bit more simplicity to interconnect SDDCs, SDDC to VPCs and transit VPCs. I guess this is getting something you need when you have multiple SDDCs. So probably if you are a big customer, we see that with the customer who are really consuming a lot. Oh, we have a yes. So I'm glad to see that Transit Connect is getting popular, and that the customer will see the value of that. I think it's an amazing option. And talking a little bit about the options, again, about the connectivity options. So route summarization, route filtering, inter-region connectivity or external transit gateway peering. Would be interesting to understand which one is the one you are looking forward to having in the SDDC. So I think I probably know which one is going to be the one. We leave you a few minutes to answer. Route filtering, yeah, obviously.
Filtering. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is coming. Route summarization is coming, I think, sooner than route filtering. You can already do route filtering over the VPN, route-based VPN through API only, but it is possible to do it. It's not a big deal if you are a bit postman, not expert, but if you are used to it. And the other one are coming soon because I know I've heard it's going to be released shortly. Thank you very much for that, Paul. Answer. It was cool to see that you are really like and enjoy the Direct Connect and Transit Connect as well. So
I think we don't have more questions now.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know more, any additional questions you may have. So we all have Twitter account, LinkedIn account. Obviously, our email is there. And feel free to engage the conversation with us. We'll be very glad to give you a little bit more details on all of the cool stuff that was presented there. And I think we can, wrap the session up.
Thank you, everybody. Just keep in touch.
Everybody.
Remember, customer success is there to help you.
And tips and tricks are not, I mean, we have multiple sessions coming, so feel free to engage and to register yourself to the other upcoming session because they are great for sure. It's the sessions you need to be. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.